America is being held by psychopaths. Day 15 without pay for our heroes. Troops choosing between gas and groceries. Air traffic controllers abandoning their posts, and these Democrat animals just stormed the speaker's office, attacking cops who haven't been paid in 2 weeks. $15 billion torched every 24 hours while Schumer laughs. They'd rather watch America burn than let Trump win. This is not politics. It's economic warfare against every working family, your paycheck, and your future. All sacrificed on the altar of their hatred. What's happening right now will make your blood boil, so get ready to rage. And as many investors have seen recently, exploration companies looking south. With U.S. policy becoming friendlier towards domestic supply of critical metals, U.S. copper prices have soared after recent threats of a 50% import tariff, highlighting the value of domestic sources. Could District Copper Corp be lining up for that kind of role? Well, the company recently secured a U.S. market listing, and that move alone points to a bigger vision ahead. District Copper is advancing its copper projects, positioning itself as a gateway for supplying the copper that powers U.S. infrastructure, clean energy, and advanced technology. With copper hitting 16-month highs, rising supply demands, and growing uncertainty due to the potential closure of one of the world's largest copper mines in Indonesia, domestic production is more important than ever. Against this backdrop and a new U.S. listing, District Copper Corp could be setting the stage for further growth and potential expansion into key U.S. states renowned for strategic minerals. The company is building its future around one of the most essential metals of our time, positioning itself for what comes next. Check them out in the link in the description, and thank you to District Copper Corp for making today's video possible. Now, day 15 of the shutdown. Democrats are still belting out No Deal, the musical, 900,000 furloughed, 700,000 unpaid, pure theater. Meanwhile, Trump's fighting to reopen the show and pay the crew. Time for Democrats to exit stage left and let the adults run the production again. Oh, what's this?
The doors are 15 and the lights stay low. Paychecks waiting, families can't go. You promised the workers you'd keep them fed, but you hold the budget hostage instead.
Day 15.
Day 15, still the doors are closed and the bills stack clean. And the 15 and the lights stay low.
Yes, Gary Franchi singing the hits. And here's Act 2, Phantom of the Airport. Air traffic controllers calling in sick. Runways backed up. Passengers grounded while Democrats play politics. Trump's trying to land the plane safely, but the left would rather watch it crash than give him a win.
Down the tower, day 15 of the shutdown. The tower radios are full of static. Controllers are calling in sick. And every empty chair puts another jet at risk. While the Capitol sleeps in its day 15 of the shutdown.
Yeah, you didn't know I could sing, did you? No, it's amazing. Those were AI generated. I made those earlier today to share that with you. Why not, right? Well, let's check in with Mike Johnson. The Republicans held a press conference this morning. He posted on X, he says, instead of voting to pay our troops, help women, infants, and children, and reopen the government, Democrats have decided it's better to berate Capitol Police, who are working nights without pay thanks to their shutdown. Meanwhile, 1.3 million troops will be missing paychecks if not for President Trump's leadership. Listen.
Everyone needs to understand that 1.3 million active duty service members would be missing a paycheck. They'll get their check, thankfully, because President Trump has shown strong leadership. And under his direction, the Department of War has now redirected unspent funds to ensure that our troops are taken care of. And this is while Democrats are playing political games. Last night, they played some games. They stormed my office. Maybe you saw some of the video online that they themselves shared, or someone did. They berated a Capitol Police officer, screamed at him. He was just merely standing his post. Shows again their disdain for law enforcement, as we see all around the country, the Democrats and everyone in that party screaming, assaulting ICE officers. They did it right here in the Capitol last night. A few members of Congress went into the little foyer of my office and tore down a sign that I had up and just engaged in all sorts of political stunts and antics. They've been doing that every day now, and it shows their desperation. It also shows a very strong contrast between the party that is working for the people and trying to keep the government open and do the right thing, and the party that is engaging in all this nonsense.
Storming Mike Johnson's office. Wall Street Journal editor-at-large talking about the Democrat shutdown, Gary Baker.
Many of these. Look, I think the more this pressure is put on them, and again, if pressure does rise from their own constituents, many of these who are government workers, we see. So there are 53 Republicans in the Senate. A couple of Democrats have already come across to support reopening the government. I think this pressure is quite smart. I think it will. I think Democrats must understand that they're not going to gain much politically. Again, despite the media's attempts to blame Republicans, they're not really going to gain much politically from this. And the risk of the costs rising, both in terms of people not supporting them, as Bessent says, yes, it's true that Shutdown Schumer, as we like to call him, is holding the government hostage because he's worried about a challenge in the Senate to his own Senate seat in New York from the left if he caves. But ultimately, the pressure to get the government working again, to get some of those centrist Democrats, not Chuck Schumer, but others in the middle who are getting nervous about this, I think that pressure will rise. Look, I think the more this...
And it's going to rise, especially when you have air traffic controllers not showing up for work. Here is Speaker Mike Johnson responding to AG Mays, Attorney General Mays, talking about a Democrat from Arizona.
It is no...
Mr. Speaker, the Arizona Attorney General sent your office a letter asking that Grijalva be seated. Do you have any plans to respond to her? Do you feel you're on good legal standing?
It is no surprise that yet another Democrat politician from Arizona is trying a publicity stunt. I've explained this 1,000 times. We are going to swear in Grijalva as soon as we get back to legislative session. So my advice to all the Democrats in Arizona is to tell their two senators, Kelly and Grijalva and Gallegos, to do their job and vote to open the government so we can move forward with our business.
Thank you. Open the government. Democrats in Congress attempting to storm Speaker Mike Johnson's office. Here's some of that video that he was referring to. Sounds like a swarm of zombies looking for brains. Speaker Johnson going off on the Democrats. We just saw that. Here's Nick Daniels, president of the National Air Traffic Controller Association, talking about the risk of having distracted air traffic controllers on the job, controllers who are working unpaid during the Democrat shutdown. This is a huge risk. And when they're talking about public pressure, I've said this since this began, it's all going to rise up, especially from people who are having their flights delayed, rich people who can't get their Learjets off the ground, that type of thing.
Of the family. It's absolutely distracting. The government spends millions of dollars teaching us how to reduce distractions, delays, fatigue. Every day a controller goes to work, their focus is on the flying public, their safety. They could have had a hard day at home. We just had a controller the other day. He texted me talking about his father passing away. His father just died 2 days ago, and he has to go to work today to do his job. He knows how to check those emotions at the door, but now he also has to think about, how do I pay for his funeral? How do I take care of the family in association with it in the meantime? And those are real people with real lives that are now facing a whole different level of challenges while keeping America safe. It's absolutely.
And those are the people that Chuck Schumer is completely ignoring. Here's more from the president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. They're using air traffic controllers are now doing Uber and DoorDash to make ends meet.
Air traffic controllers are on that edge, and that's why working with Administrator Bedford, working with Secretary Duffy to figure out ways to compensate these air traffic controllers for what they're dealing with on a daily basis, and bringing new ones in, is going out and now saying, do that, work 6 days a week. They don't work just 5, they work 6 days a week. They usually work 60 hours in that week, only 4 days off in a month. And yes, the main conversation they're having today in the control room is, how do I defer my mortgage? Or what are you going to work for? Are you going to work for Uber? Or are you going to work for DoorDash? Are you going to go do waiters' jobs? How are you going to earn money during this time the government shut down? And that's not what we need our nation's air traffic controllers focused on. And that's the risk we're talking about.
And if they have 4 days off a week, can they honestly make up the difference in 4 days that they have off? Here's one. This is an air traffic controller.
Air Air traffic control is inherently a stressful job. It's one in which it requires intense focus every day. We have to be 100% right 100% of the time. Not knowing exactly how I'm going to have childcare for my kids or put gas in the car or pay the next mortgage payment adds a certain level of stress onto an already stressful profession. It's just very difficult the longer that this goes on. The more, any savings that I may have start to dwindle, and it's just really important that we all get paid as soon as possible for the work that we're doing. Air traffic control is inherently...
And this is what Chuck Schumer is putting at risk. Here is Russ Vought.
And the Democrats have put us in a position where, against the American people's interest, they've put us in shutdown. And obviously there's impacts on the American people as a result. But one of the problems of a government shutdown is it slows down the administration. So the administration can't do as much of what it was doing on behalf of the American people because it's in a shutdown. And we, to the best of our abilities, want to minimize that slowdown in momentum. And I think the president is kind of doing that himself with, solving Middle East peace and all the manner of things that he spends his time in. But one of the things we want to do is, if there are policy opportunities to downsize the scope of the federal government, we want to use those opportunities. And if I can't do things, because you can't do everything you would normally do in a shutdown, right? It has to be generally related to life and protecting property. And if I can only work on saving money, then I'm going to do everything I can to look for opportunities to downsize in areas where this administration has thought this is our way towards a balanced budget. And I think you've seen some of that in the president's messaging. The Democrats have put us in a position where, against the American people's interest, they've put us in shutdown. And
it's only going to get worse, folks. But the pressure is going to continue to mount. Here's more explaining how the Democrat shutdown allows Trump to cut government bloat.
Is there some special mechanism that allows you to do this during a government shutdown, or are you simply saying, hey, while everything's stopped, I'm going to turn my attention to this because...
It's a combination of both, in the sense that Congress is saying we're not going to fund these programs by not passing the Republican continuing resolution. So if there's no funding for these programs, then what would you have us do? Is it not to make an assumption that you don't intend to fund these in the future?
Right.
And so we are then doing the normal legal authorities that are given to us and our focused time and attention to be able to go after and prioritize the RIFs as opposed to the deregulatory agenda or any of the things that we're normally tasked with at OMB.
Is there some special mechanism that allows you to do this during a government?
Cutting the bloat. President Trump's going to take full advantage of that. Here he is responding. President
Honestly,
Trump.
Can I put it in plain words for you? And you're a smart guy, so you'll understand, but a lot of people don't. The Democrats are getting killed on the shutdown because we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being able, and they're never going to come back in many cases. So we're being able to do things that we were unable to do before. So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're going to have a list of them on Friday, closing up some of the most egregious, socialist, semi-communist, probably not full communist, we're saving that for New York, but semi-communist programs, and we're closing them up. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting killed, but they're not telling the people about that. I say it, nobody, well, I haven't said it probably as bluntly as I just said it, but so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with, and they're never going to open again. Honestly, can I put it in plain words for you? And you're a smart guy, so you'll understand, but a lot of people don't. The Democrats.
That was in the Oval Office. Or in the White, yeah, that was the Oval Office. Here's more. Talk about the troops.
Person. I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person. You'll know that when I tell you this. Who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, then I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that? I said, look, we're not going to need it. We're going to take care of our troops. But this was a position that's being forced upon us by Democrats. And all they have to do is just sign a piece of paper saying we're going to keep it going the way it is. You know, there's nothing. It's not like it shouldn't even be an argument. They've signed it many times before. I don't want to bore you with the fact that Schumer said 100 times you should never close up government. But Schumer's a weakened politician. I mean, he's going to finish his career as a failed politician. He's a failed politician. He's allowed the radical left to take over the Democrat Party. So if they write books about that, if they write books about him, they're going to have to say that his career ended by allowing the radical left to take over the party. I mean, I won an election in a landslide because people are not into the radical left, and the Democrat Party is. I actually have a
Democrat Party is collapsing because of people like Schumer, and it's only going to collapse even further because everyone knows who's really behind the shutdown. Here's more.
That's why they keep the government laws. They have a shutdown based on nonsense. They want to give away 1.5. Think of it. They want to give away $1.5 trillion to people that come into the country illegally. And as you know, the borders now are closed. But when they hear that they get the greatest health care package in the world and they have no money, but they're living okay in another country, they head up and they start forming caravans and they try and come into our country. But the big problem is they want to give health care to people that should not get health care. They want to give health care to illegal immigrants by the millions. Look at Gavin Newsom, what he's done. He's ruined California. He gives health care to anybody. And I guess they do it for votes. I actually think it's bad politics, but I guess they do it for votes. That's why they keep
Day 15, folks.
Can't go. 15 and the lights stay low. Paychecks waiting, families can't go. You promised the workers you'd keep them fed, but you hold the budget hostage instead.
Day 15.
Day 15, still the doors are closed and the bills stack clean. And the 15 and the lights.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is economic terrorism, plain and simple. While our troops go hungry and air traffic controllers work for free, Democrats are throwing tantrums in the Capitol halls. They'd rather see America crash and burn than give Trump a single victory. $15 billion a day, that's what their temper tantrum is costing us. That's your tax money vanishing while they play political games. Speaker Johnson offered a clean CR just to pay our troops and keep the government running. What's their response? Storm his office and scream at cops who haven't been paid in 2 weeks. This is not governance, it's sabotage. They're holding 1.3 million military families hostage to score political points. So here's the question. Should Democrats who storm government offices during a shutdown, should they be arrested? Yes or no? Let's have a conversation in the comments and support real leadership. Grab our merch shop because it's still open at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.